I'm happy to welcome Jarrett Felton to the studio today. He is the founder and managing director of Invessent, a wealth management firm that recently opened here in Rochester. Jarrett, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So you went out on your own. You were with a financial firm for many years, and in the middle of a pandemic, you decided to step out on your own. What was the reason for that, Jarrett?
Well, at the young age of 38, I suppose, but 16 years of experience. 8 years at one major firm, another 8 years at another major firm. I just decided that it came to a point in time where it was time to focus more on the client. I find that a lot of wealth management firms and institutions spend more time focusing on volume and numbers and less really getting to know the client situations and circumstances.
So speaking of clients, you aim to serve all sorts of people. Who would you say is your ideal client?
Well, that's a really good question. And I'm just going to kind of hit you with something a little bit different. So Invessent was really created such that we try and chase what I would consider to be chaos. So instead of it being a financial firm that's saying we represent doctors, attorneys, lawyers, judges, things of that nature, yes, my practice does have a lot of those people in those professions. But we met all of those people during times of change and transition. And we feel it's more imperative to try and meet people when the timing is right, as opposed to trying to force something down someone's throat or worried about numbers, quotas, or deadlines.
Really important to build that trust when people really need it the most and then carry that longevity through.
Absolutely.
And so there's a huge focus at your firm on authenticity and integrity. Can you talk a little bit about those principles and how they inform your mission?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks again. Great question. So I think, Invessent was born and is a marriage between two words, investment and essence. And that we did back in May of this year, 2020. And yes, I left financial firm during a pandemic, as we all know now, is COVID-19. And the reason for me leaving, like I said, was really to make sure that I could put more of the focus on the client. But what I realized is a lot of these financial firms are a little uptight. Now, granted, maybe I didn't want to wear a tie today, but I was told otherwise I probably should. But with that being said, being authentic, being true to oneself is really the only way to live. And being in that system for 16 years and only being 38 years old, I've seen enough. And at this point in time in my life, I think that this world needs something more new, something that we can help demystify wealth management, something that we can humanize when it comes to really getting to know the client and helping them really understand us. We have to first seek to be, first to understand, then to be understood, right? I think that's how it goes. So authenticity, integrity is really what we stand for, making sure that we follow up with people when we say that we're going to. Make sure that we deliver, like we say that we do, things of that nature.
And of course, these times are by no means normal. What are some of the issues that you're hearing from clients again and again as they kind of try to navigate this pandemic?
So I've worked with hundreds of families over 16 years, and as I made the transition to the new firm, some clients came with me because they reached out to me from the old firm, and I have probably a lot more new clients now that I've started in just a short period of 3 months and maybe a week or two since I opened my doors. Some of the questions and concerns that I have is, what's going to happen in the stock market? What's going on with all this chaos? What's with all this gray? Can you make it clear? And yes, my firm does really try and get out there and turn chaos into more clarity. But obviously we don't have a crystal ball. But some of the things that we can do is focus on our own actions. So although we can't control some of the crazy and the nonsense that's going on out here, and maybe government's stepping in, maybe government's not, maybe $300 is coming to people in the form of unemployment through FEMA or not. You know what? Let's focus on what we can do in our own households for those that financially depend upon us, those people that we are obligated to taking care of. So some of the things that we can do, maybe we need to take care of some of the lenders that we have relationships with, whether it's a car loan, whether it's a mortgage, whether it's a credit card, whether it's a student loan. Make sure that we reach out to those types of lenders to see if we can be proactive instead of reactive in having these conversations and engage in conversation. If you were a business, wouldn't you want your customers to pay? If you were a business, wouldn't you want your customers to stay? So how do lenders do that? By having a relationship. So I'm not saying and promising that they will work with you all the time, but there's a good chance that they will versus won't if you reach out and we're proactive instead of reactive.
We've got just a little bit of time left,
Sure.
Jarrett. What's one thing that you've learned through this period of time that you'll take with you going forward in your career?
Change is inevitable. Don't ever get complacent. I know that's two, but I'm just going to give a third since we're
Sure.
here for good measure.
Go for it.
And we have to be adaptive in dealing. Given these times, no one saw this coming. Some people may debate that, but more importantly, we have to be able to change with the times, adapt and adjust, and that's what Invessent strives to do. Adjust and adapt with people as they make those transitions in life.
Jarrett, thank you so much for being here today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.